Let's begin. All right. B'ezrat Hashem, today we're going to start a new Torah. Likutei Moharan Torah Chof Ches. This is one of the seminal Torahs. Chof A 25. This Torah is the Shon Rabbeinu Zal. What it means is that this particular Torah was given to Rav Nosson written down on paper, which means that every single word and every single letter was in place, and he never said that you can be medakdek with this Torah like you can do in a mikra. You know, why this letter was in, this letter was not in, why it's spelled like this, spelled like that. That kof was not written in the Torah. It's my own contribution. Yes. It says in the Gemara in Maseches Bechoros, Amrulei, the sages of Athens, they told Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, Ach v'lo mana de lo shavya lechabola. Show us an object that is not worth the damage that it causes. In other words, that using this particular object causes a damage that far outweighs what the entire object is worth. So, show us an object that is not worth the loss that it brings about. Budia, he brought a mat made of reed, you know, woven reeds. Yeah. Pashtu, they spread it out. And it wouldn't go through the door. It can get in the house because it was wider than the opening. Omalahu, maybe you can close the door from over there so the buses will not will be that prominent in our this. Omalahu, so he told them, Isamar, bring an axe. V'sitzun, bring an axe, break down the door and the wall around it, so you can bring in the open reed. It was rolled. She says, open it up, try getting in the house. It's wider than the opening. Bring an axe, bring whatever it is, and break it down. This is an object. This made out of reeds is worth a few pennies. Or you're going to break down the house for this. Here is a keli, here is an object that is not worth the damage it causes to use it. This is the cryptic, mysterious exchange between the Saba de Beatuna, and Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya. And the Rebbe starts as follows. There were three things that were lost when Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. The first thing was a worm called the shamir. The shamir used to cut stone.
Like eat it?
What?
Eat the stone? Or
I don't know what it wasn't eating the stone. It was something about the shamir that would just cut stones. In fact, on the gems that were on the shoulders of the Kohen Gadol were engraved the names of all the tribes, of all the Shvatim. But the stones had to remain whole. You couldn't carve the names out. So how would you do this? So what they did is they held the shamir at a distance from the stone, and the stone would just open up, just crack.
how big is the shamir?
I don't know. I've never seen
So
one.
it's like a tiny little insect.
Whatever it is, they just showed it, and it would just open up, and this is how they would write the name of the Shvatim. They showed it like this, they showed it like that, they showed it like that, and it would just crack it open without taking any mass away from the gem itself. In Beis HaMikdash, while they were, cutting it off the stonemason, when they were just cutting off the mountain, the stones, no problem to use iron. But what did you do in Beis HaMikdash where you're not allowed to use any iron? And the stone doesn't fit. You have to cut this, you have to cut a little bit so you can go. So what do? So they had the shamir, and the shamir would, they trim off whatever it is they needed, with the shamir. Interesting nekuda, how do you store the shamir? Obviously it can cut through anything, right? So how do you store the shamir? The answer is that you store it in cotton wool.
Cotton wool?
Cotton wool. Softness can contain it. Just an interesting...
Nice fluffy bed for the worm.
So one of the things that are no longer in existence since Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, is the first thing is that shamir. The second thing is Neifes Tzufim. Neifes Tzufim is honey that come from a place called Tzifia. That particular place had like the best honey there ever was. Another parish for Neifes Tzufim means the sweetness of the fruits of Eretz Yisrael. The sweetness of the fruits of Eretz Yisrael was such that Yochanan said in the Gemara, he says that they would eat, first of all, the size. You'd put a fig in the corner and you would just chop off pieces, a single fig, for the students. But besides that, he says that he ate I think it was a fig that he said that he ate, and I don't know if from pleasure, whether he sweated or whatever it is, he says that the fly that would land on him would slide off, from be able to grip from the sweetness of the fruit. Whatever it is, this is called Neifes Tzufim, the sweetness of the fruit, or this unbelievable honey from that particular place. Now that sweetness was gone. And the third thing is ve'amona, trustworthy people, faithful people, people that you can blindly trust, people that have pure 100% emunah in a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And now we are going to go into explaining what is what is alluded to in the words of this Mishnah. Sif Aleph. Ki tzorech kol adam lahotzi atzmo me'amedama. Every person has to extricate himself from living in the medama, in the imagination. That's the animalistic taivus that controls and sway and shape his vision. These are imaginary taivus that the person craves, and it makes him think that the good is bad, and the bad is good. This is koyach hamadama. What a person needs to do, he needs to exit the medama, v'lalos al seichel, and to get up to the seichel, because the seichel distances the person from the medama completely. But the medama and the seichel are both essential tools for understanding the world. You can't use the world only with seichel. You know, you need to have medama, because let's say that you know, they use in computers, they use these captchas, right? You know, write the letters or the numbers that you see, right? It's called, I think it's called captcha, I think it's called, right? You know, to make sure that you're not a bot, that you're not an automated computer. That's a so the letters are there, you know, but al pi seichel, if you're just judging al pi seichel, you can't recognize it. You have to use your imagination to see, you know, to recognize the distortion of the seichel. The medama is something that fills in the details. It's something that enables, you know, to give you a color commentary, you know, for the play-by-play, whatever it is. So the medama is an essential tool, but the problem is when the person, it has to do with the tzricha that we had the last time that we learned. When the heart leads, the mind becomes the lawyer of the heart to explain why what the heart wants is good. You know. But the tachlis is that a person has to get out of the medam, of being controlled by the medam, and has to get up to the seichel, to go up into the seichel. And it says, when a person is swayed by his imagining power, the power of imagination, that is called a hardened heart. In other words, I got my mind made up, don't confuse me with the facts. You know, that's the way I want it to be. You know, it's the American way. I want things to be the way I want things to be because I want them to be that way, and I'm allowed to want things to be that way. Therefore, that's the way they are. That's pshat, shrir slev. That a heart of stone. I don't care. You can prove to me that you're right from here until the cows come home, and then after that. But that's it. That's shrir slev. That the person follows the medama which is in the heart. But when a person exits, you know, that hardship of the heart, a heart of stone, and he breaks his stone heart. That action, that progress, that development is euphemistically is called shamir. because the shamir had that ability, to break stone and to crack stone. So the act of breaking, the stony heart is euphemistically called the shamir. So say that is lost. That ability to break that. Shal yado nichna even. That is that the shamir. That's the thing that defeats stone. And the person doesn't go after imagined taivas. And he follows his brain. So this is one thing. The first step is to get oneself out of dimyonis, of the medama. The medama should not be the thing. But you have to understand the goy. There's no tachas in life. All right? So seichel, for all intents and purposes, is a luxury. Justice is a luxury. You got a couple of cars, you got a dog, you got 2 kids. Okay, now you can allow yourself to, justice as well. But it's not essential because you live, you die. What can you do? But this Indian, in order to be a Yid, you have to get yourself out of the Madama. That's what it's all about, because in Olam Ha'emes, only the truth counts. You can deceive yourself, as we said, as much as you want, but there's a price to pay. Okay, so the first step is you're going into the Seichel, you're going into what is the truth and what is not. Nekuda. Okay. Okay, you got the Seichel already. You know what the Seichel is. But it's easier said than done. Well, you know what the Seichel is, but it doesn't mean that I can follow it right away, right? That you didn't actually exercise the Seichel. You haven't used the Seichel yet. As it's seichel bekoyach. The seichel is still in a state of potential. I know it. It's on the shelf. Even though that you broke the medama, you do no longer, let your point of view and philosophy of life and your opinions about who should be mayor and who should be this and who should be that and what is right and what is wrong, you already broke that. You already know what the seichel is. He says, you already broke the medama, then the seichel gets up, because it's a seesaw. The minute that you bring down the medama, the seichel gets up. The seichel, the medama falls down, the seichel, when the seichel gets up. The seichel is still in potential. You're still not able to act on it at every given point. You have habits. A person brings about initial injuries and self-image, that the way a person sees himself from his childhood, that makes it very difficult to follow the seichel. Sometimes it's not only counterintuitive, but the hardest thing to do in the world is to do something that you don't want to do. I mean, to lift a feather, if you don't want to lift it, is the hardest thing in the world to do. And if a person believes that nothing good will ever come out of him, it's a very, very powerful harness and shackle that doesn't let a person go. Okay, so I know already it's a shtus. I know already it's a dinyan, but it doesn't mean that I'm free to actually act out on it. All right. So the seichel is bekoyach. It's still in potential, but it's not bekoyach. But when you are using the mind and you're saying, okay, something, I can't do everything. I can't let go of everything yet. But I can start. You know, as Reb Nosson once came to Rabbeinu and he told him that he has this problem of he has the Seder where he's learning that much blood Gemara, that much Shulchan Aruch, whatever it is, and life keeps on disrupting in the middle. I think John Lennon said that. Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. It's just that it keeps on interrupting the Seder. So the Rebbe told him, a bissel is echt good. A little is also good. Reb Nosson said that with this a bissel is echt good, he said, I built mountains of Gemara pages. So all I can do is just learn one line. I'll learn that one line. All I can do is I get angry 100 times a day. So one time I control it. I take it. A bissel is echt good. It's a klal. It's a rule of thumb that is the secret to success in everything. A bissel is echt good. A little is also good. So when you're starting using you're using the seichel. As you get to use the seichel, it doesn't matter a little or a lot. You use it once, and then you see that it so goes opposite what you believe about yourself. That after being a good boy for one day, 3 days you are like the worst. Like to catch up, for daring being good for one day. Okay, it's fine. And then another day. Another 3 days, going totally wild. Okay. You take one thing, you keep on what you're doing is you're teaching your entire system with every single nekuda of good that you dare do against what you have learned, that this is who I am, that's what I am. You're teaching the entire system differently. It's okay. You can succeed. You can succeed. You can develop. You can be good. You don't have to be good all in one day unless you do it, then it's worthless. You do it a little bit. And this means that you're starting building the seichel. The seichel, you're taking the seichel out of the realm of theory and you put it in the realm of lamaisa. And you're building lamaisa. And when you're actually executing it, you're actually acting on it. This is the sweetness of the fruit. That means that the fruits are already, now the fruit, before it wasn't ripe yet. Now it ripens, and when the fruit ripens, what happens is the sweetness comes out. As it is said in Shir Hashirim, your lips drip of honey. That a person takes out the sweetness of his seichel. What are the lips? The lips are the executors of what the mind thinks. It's when you speak, then we know what you think. So the machshava can be very, very sweet, but it's hidden. Once you speak it out, that takes out the sweetness of the machshavas from potential to actuality. So this is called nefesh tzufim. There's the sweetness of the fruit. That is the second step. Sifso seichel, that is the thing that that materializes mikoyach halapoel, from a state of thought to a state of speech. B'chinas dibur. Okay, that's the second step. First step was find out what the seichel is. Stop following the dimyonis, the taivas. Stop letting your taivas rule the thing. I had this big argument with somebody close to me. But there is somebody who ran for the election the last time, supposedly a frum person, that was going for a candidate that wanted to open places on Shabbos, places for whatever it is. So he says, what are you talking about? You're going to be Merabah Chilul Shabbos. So that person is a lawyer, is a frum person, so there's a lawyer. So he said, listen, the kids, the kids are from kids, the one with Mechalel Shabbos, they'll be Mechalel Shabbos no matter what. They're going to go to Yerushalayim. So why make them go to Yerushalayim? Give them a place right here. All right? The fact that you're Merabah Chilul Shabbos, and when the place is open for Shabbos, obviously there's a whole industry, opening around of other people being Mechalel Shabbos. It's a typical lawyer's excuse when the seichel is the servant of the heart. And then you start believing, all the Lashon Haras and Otzas Shemra, and everything follows. That means that you're going after the Madama. The first thing you have to get out of the Madama, go to the Seichel Amiti. And then the second thing you need to do is you have to start acting on it. You have to start incorporating the Seichel Amiti in your life. It doesn't go in one shot. You have to daven for it. You have to do step by step, drop by drop, but that is the second step. ואחר כך, כשמעסיק בשכלוי, כל מה שיש ביד אנושי לעשות, then, when a person has already figured out everything which is humanly possible to attain about that particular subject, אז שכלו שב שכל הנקנה. The seichel, all the thing that you know about that particular thing, how to behave about that particular thing, becomes a summary of all the details. When you learn how to drive, okay, there are all kinds of functions that are involved with how to drive a car, from how to turn on a car, how to manipulate the steering wheel, the gas pedal and the brake pedal and the radio and the air conditioner and how to adjust the chairs and then there's traffic, how to gauge traffic and how to anticipate, the other cars and whatever it is. The many different set of skills, each one you need to get used to each and every one of them, learn about them. And to know, how long does the car need to brake at a certain speed in the rain, and how long does it take to stop when the road is dry, and so forth and so on. And then the particular car that you have, how it behaves, how it veers, v'chula. At a certain point in time, you gain such proficiency at driving your car that you know how to drive. You no longer have to apply thought to the different, details of how to actually drive the car. You know how to drive the car in one knowledge. You just know it. That's it. It's a one single, indivisible knowledge. You know it.
Second nature.
It's called seichel hanikne. It's called an owned seichel. You own it. Mm-hmm. You know it in one shot. As the philosophers said during his time, shesh seichel bekoyach. There is, the seichel when it's still in the level of potential. V'seichel apoyel, and there is a seichel when it is in action as you apply it. V'seichel hanikne. And that summary of knowing everything there is together, the same thing is when you put on film every day, right? The first time you put on film, you learn, and you put it up here, and you put it up here, and and today it's just in the whole thing. You say you have a seichel hanikne. The same thing is with behaving in Torah life. You learn this detail. At a certain point in time, you live a Jewish life. You live it says, and the main existence of a person after his passing Eino elo sechel hanikne. It is only that sechel hanikne. That which you acquired and brought to a state of knowing it, as one sechel hanikne, zeh hash'arosov, this is what remains after a person lachar hamisa. Zeh b'chinas amona. This is called, a faithful thing. Amona, l'shon kiyum davar. You believe something. You believe that whatever he says, will be kept. He gives his word, means he's going to keep his word. This is something which is being kept. That thing will be mekuyim. That will be kept. That will be ki sechel hanikne. That sechel hanikne the person purchases as kiyum shel ha'odam lachar moiseh. That is a person's existence after his death. And then he explains the sechel hanikne nikra. What is sechel hanikne? Masha odam yodea harbe dvorim b'di'ah achas. The person knows a lot of things with one knowing. With one knowledge. He knows, one knowledge encompasses many different details. You need to know, how to drive and how to this and how to that and how to put the tefillin and how to this and how to separate, this is kosher, this is this, you're allowed to do this and how to that. Until does a dovel. Once you got it, you throw away all the preamblums, and the forwards that you need to do, that you need to know in the beginning. And he knows the whole thing in one knowledge. He says, the main fountain of knowledge comes out of the Beis HaMikdash. That's the place where we used to, bring the korbanos. Korbanos is the behemoths. That's the bestiality, the beastly nature of men. The koyach hadimion, because the behemoth also has taibis. It also has a dimion. And when we used to bring the behemoths for korban, that used to break the koyach hamadama in a person. And the person who brings it in, then a person will be zoichet to seichel and chochmah. That is the benefit of bringing korbanos. Kmo shekosuv zivche elokim ruach nishbo. The offerings to Hashem, is a broken spirit. What does it mean? Shviras hadimion, that breaking the dimyonis, breaking the craving of the heart, hema korbanos, that is the real korban. That's the real offering you bring to Hashem. Zivcha Elokim, the korbanos, through them, ruach, the spirit of dimyonis nishbar is being broken down. When Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, these three things were canceled. The ability to break the heart of stone, the capacity to bring out the sweetness of the seichel, and to use the seichel, and to get it to seichel hanichne. And when Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt again, as the sky this fountain will come out of the Beis HaMikdash. The mind of a chokhmah is going to come all over again. And what we're going to learn in Yetz Hashem the next time that we'll learn is how to actually do this today when we don't have Beis HaMikdash, still to be able to put this process, process into reality.